Good evening. It is Tuesday, March 8th, and welcome to the Positional Talk Show post, live streaming on Facebook Live, Twitch, and our Positional Sports Talk Show YouTube channel. We are a sports talk show made for the fans, from the perspective of fans, presented by lifelong sports fans. We will provide our opinions, positions on the hottest topics in sports this evening. We'd like to welcome everybody in and also to celebrate International Women's Day. And shout out to all the ladies behind us. We appreciate all that you do. Uh, the ladies are definitely the backbone of this world. And if you don't hear it enough, we appreciate you and thank you. My name
Amen.
is Big Reg. I'm joined by two of my brothers in crime. I got J3 in the building. What's going on, brother?
What's up, partner? What's up, Ed? What's going on with you?
What's up, J3? Nice to see you.
Always a pleasure, bro. Always.
And it ain't the same without Ed in the building. What's going on, partner?
I'm feeling good right now, man. I'm sure we got some interesting things to get into. Good to see you guys. Let's take it back to old school.
Yeah, this reminds us of back in the day when we was first starting out back in the studio in Baltimore. So let's get it.
What?
What's up, Angela?
We're going to do some quick hits. Got to get in the NFL. The NFL went a little crazy this afternoon.
Yes, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get in a little NCAA and some NBA, depending on how much time we get with that NFL. And, of course, our final post of the evening. So, as always, we appreciate you tuning in. So, please sit back, relax, enjoy Post on the Positional Sports Talk Show. Real quick, fellas, this Brittany Griner thing, U.S. Olympian, two-time gold medalist, WNBA superstar, and also champion Russian league player, Brittany Griner, has been detained in Russia. No one knows the exact date it happened. From what I'm hearing, she's been detained upwards of maybe 3 weeks to a month already for supposedly carrying vape cartridges that contain supposedly cannabis oils in her luggage as she was trying to fly back home to the U.S. This is going to be real tricky, especially with – it would have been tricky regardless, but what was going on today, yeah. What y'all think about it? Because I'm a little leery about this whole story. I'm going to put it out there.
Okay, let me jump in.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
So I got a couple thoughts on this. For the purpose of our discussion, let's say it was marijuana. For the purpose of this discussion only, let's say it was a marijuana vape. So let's begin right there. In Russia, it is illegal medically and recreational to possess marijuana. That's it.
Period.
Let me say that again. Medicinal purposes and recreational purposes, it is illegal in Russia. So for those two factors alone, Griner should not have had this in her possession. If she had this, it should have never made it to an airport. That's the bottom line. All three of us have traveled international. J3 extensively in a military background. Big Reg extensively.
Recreational.
Me, yeah. Well, hold on, I ain't gonna say that word with that. And I've traveled, and I've traveled abroad. One thing I know, is that when you cross out of this country and enter into someone else's country, you are a guest.
Yeah.
And because of that, you should act appropriately. What you do at home isn't necessarily what you can do abroad when you're not in wherever your home may be. Ours is America. So I think without getting into the politics of it, I think that alone, Brittany made a tremendous mistake. Regardless of what she has been used to here in America, she should have not have transported or carried those attitudes and the way she rolls into another country. So that's that. But besides that, when you open it up to the politics of it, and you're dealing with a person like Vladimir, well, that becomes even more things that make you say, what made you think that you could possibly get away with it? Because there is no star treatment. There is no star treatment when it comes to, international politics and what have you, and setting an example. There is no star treatment. So this is not looking good.
So my question is, did she actually own it, or was she actually set up with it? That's my question.
That's the question.
And the reason why I asked that is because we all know her lifestyle, and it's very frowned upon in Russia.
It is.
So are they picking on her because of how she lives her life, or because they wanted to make a statement with the U.S. and say, what y'all going to do about it?
But J3, if it was just based on lifestyles, the women basketball players, and I'm not, first of all, let me have a disclaimer. I'm not saying that all women basketball players have certain lifestyles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that.
Mm-hmm.
But it is well known within the basketball community, the women's basketball community, that it exists.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been in Russia for years. They've been playing, annually, women basketball players from this country migrate to Russia and make huge amounts of, way more money than they do playing here.
Mm-hmm.
And so they've been in Russia for years. So it's, years.
Brittany's been making over $1 million per year, upwards to $1.5 million per year to play basketball over there, where she was last year made $200,000 here.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, she made less than that.
Now, the political climate, as we speak, we all know with the war in Ukraine and Russia being invading Ukraine. Now that may have something to do with it, but I don't know if I could say they singled her out because of her lifestyle. All of a sudden, that's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just see it as a tough position, because if too many people get involved, that's going to make Russia really make a statement of her. So it's crazy. It's crazy.
And in the big scheme of things, again, this is you have millions of lives at stake and being lost in Ukraine. And this is one, again, I'm not Brittany's parents. I'm not talking about your daughter, but I'm just saying that this is just one person. In the big scheme of things, the U.S. has more important things to really focus on right now. And this is just this is just an add on the pile. But it's unfortunate for Miss Griner, because this may be a while.
Yeah, she's looking at 5 to 10 years, and they say they've started criminal proceedings. So, it's crazy.
You see Carolyn's comment?
I see it. I would agree on most points, but because she is a star U.S. Olympian, and what Russia's just went through, having all their athletes kicked out of basically every sporting organization there is. Yeah.
It just makes you wonder if they're actually picking on
her. Almost. She was the last one there that didn't. She's the only one that didn't get out.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes me question. So keep her in your thoughts and prayers, and wish her luck. On a positive note for the ladies, ESPN announced that they're going to televise 25 WNBA regular season games this season. Season starts the end of May, early June, goes through the summer, and the entire playoffs are going to be on ESPN's family networks, ABC, ESPN, and ESPN2. So that's an additional 27 games. So they're going to have 50 plus games on ESPN. Plus, they are also on other platforms. So they are getting much needed airtime, help, revenue. So shout out to the WNBA and trying to do some things. Little quick hit for a college football. I know it's kind of the quiet time, but a significant signing happened this past week. Former Arizona State 3-year starter Jaden Daniels signed with LSU. Oh, Chip Kelly trying to put together some stuff down in LSU. I guess when you get paid $10 million plus a year, I guess you got to do some work, huh?
Wow.
Well, yeah. Plus, I mean, he doesn't have the benefit. I mean, this is not Notre Dame. Again, no offense to Notre Dame, but this is the SEC and this is LSU, and he doesn't have there's no grace periods. So there's no, okay, we're trying to build the program. You know, we didn't, you know, we had a couple down years since the national championship. And no, it's you come here, you win now. So he had to find a quarterback because his quarterback, the starter that was there last year, Max Johnson, transferred to Texas A&M.
Right.
So he had to do something.
Yeah. Yo, fellas, what's going on with Major League Baseball and the Players Association?
Greed. Plain and simple. It's all about greed. The daggone owners want all the money, don't want to pay the players. Need I say more?
But I have to give credit where credit is due with the MLB Players Association side. Them cats, they're unlike any other union in sports, professional sports. And
they holding the line.
They don't budge.
Right.
They don't budge, and normally they stick together. Very rarely will you have high profile athletes, you know, go against the grain, so to speak. Baseball, for good or, you know, for better or worse, it's a traditional sport. A lot of their little rules and what have you, they tend to follow and you know, look, they're not budging. They're not budging.
Yeah, I think it's the wrong climate for these owners to be playing hardball with, because they're already a regional sport, and they get more regional as their viewership gets older. They're the only league that the viewership's getting older.
Yeah.
So let's be honest. How many of y'all actually watch baseball for a whole season?
Yeah.
Can I get a hand?
Not a chance.
And we like sports. And
Not
we actually seek out games.
Baseball is the quickest daggone sport I go to sleep on.
I catch them in the postseason.
The postseason. Now, I do like catching a game live. I will admit, I do like that. But it's more like a mental health day. Yeah. You know, usually it's nice weather. No, seriously.
You got plenty of time to in between action.
Yeah.
I feel you. Real quick correction. I appreciate Professor J. I inadvertently said Chip Kelly. I meant Brian Kelly, you know, and his family trying to do things down in LSU. Last but not least, before we get into this NFL, UFC 272 was a total dud. I mean, all the hype behind Kobe Covington and Jorge Masvidal, how they was going to rip each other's head off, turned into an NCAA college wrestling match. I mean, come on now. If you despise a guy that much, Covington did not want to stand on his feet with him for too long. So he won the match, but he made it a wrestling match. And the co-main was the same thing. The fight before that was the same thing. So yeah, it fell flat on its face. So need some more better fights next time, Dana. The boys let you down this time. All right, so let's go on with the bombshells in the NFL today. It first started by the man who's been driving us nuts for over a year. Finally decided, okay, I'll stay since you're going to pay me and make me the highest paid player in the NFL.
You know, I'm tired of Aaron Rodgers. No, seriously, this makes you wonder when J3 talks about this all the time. This makes you wonder about, was it really always really all about the money? Because because that's what it seems like. It seems like really nothing has changed. Love is the quarterback that they got to replace him is still there.
Yep.
The only thing that changed is as these new set of quarterbacks signed and passed Aaron Rodgers as far as the pecking order of pay, it seemed like his complaining got louder and louder.
Right.
But then all of a sudden, when that 50 mil, 156 guarantee, something like that, 200 overall, when that materialized, I think we can work something out. I think I want to stay here in Green Bay.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of Aaron Rodgers. He's just like, he's a diva. He's a diva.
That's an understatement. Yeah, I was talking to somebody earlier. I said this was all a power play. He wanted to get leverage on Green Bay and force them to make him the highest paid quarterback and admit that their first round pick was a mistake. It was all an ego play for him. And now he's got to deal with it, though. That's the thing I don't think he thought all the way through. Once they pay him this money and he's refuted. Oh, it's not $200 million. I haven't signed the contract. Yeah. So watch it end up being like, instead of $50 million a year, it's going to be $48.9 million a year.
But remember, the first thing he said was he wanted some more weapons on his offensive team. That was the reason why he wanted to leave the Packers, because they didn't draft anybody to help out. But yet you got Adams on one side, you got what's my man in the backfield?
Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones in the backfield. Then you got Lazard on the other side. So it ain't like he didn't have weapons. He just wanted more money.
It had to be.
Yeah. It's a shame, but now he's got to live with that monster because they get ready to. That defense is getting ready to get real shaky because they're not going to be able to bring both Smith brothers, if either of them, and they got a cornerback that's up for a new contract.
Adams is up. Adams don't have a contract.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Unless they franchise him, and if I would
franchise him today, we were going to talk about that. So that locks him in for just under $20 million while they try to work him into a long-term deal. So those two are going to eat up somewhere between $65 to $70 million of their cap. Two people.
Are they worth it?
We will see.
Are they worth it?
All they've been able to do is win 13 games a season and lose in the playoffs in the divisional round. And
why do they lose in the playoffs? Is it because of the offense, or is it because of the defense, or is it a combination of both?
I think it's the offense that lets them down. I mean, as great as people want to say Aaron Rodgers is,
that last playoff game was terrible. It was terrible.
And the one last season, the offense got punched in the mouth. So we will see. Congratulations, Aaron. You got the bag. Mm-hmm. Now you got to see if it's worthwhile. And then less than an hour later, the big news of the day hit.
True bomb.
After saying all off season, we not getting rid of Russ. We love Russ. The Seattle Seahawks have traded quarterback Russell Wilson and a 4th round pick to the Denver Broncos for 2 firsts, 2 second, a 5th, and 3 players, quarterback Drew Lock, defensive lineman Shelby Harris, who's a rotational defensive lineman. So those two really don't matter. The only player of significance is tight end Noah Fant. He's a good young tight end. But
I'm happy for Russ. I'm happy for Russ.
Russ got out of Seattle.
Absolutely. And he deserves it. I mean, he's been in the league long enough. He's won a Super Bowl, should have won 2, but you know how that went. But yeah, he's definitely a quarterback that he goes to Denver. He's going to make some noise. And I think your boy Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, they better watch out because Denver going to be a contender without a doubt.
I will say, roster-wise, I think Russ has never had what he's getting ready to walk into right now.
Never.
I mean, first of all, before you even, you could just, people could dispute, okay, well, he had beast mode, Lockett, Metcalf, he had some skill players, but you name one lineman that really was worth it. I mean, you think about it. Russ took a beating for many years. A lot of Russ's successes was built on his legs.
Agreed.
Because he could escape, and they just for 10 years, they flat out refused to address the offensive line. They did make that little splash for the left tackle from Houston one year, but he didn't really help much. Russ was still running for his life. And then, when he got hurt this year, and I hope people don't think that Russ fell off, because when Russ came back, he should have never came back this year. He should have just shut it down for the year.
Yeah, that finger was never right on the
and got healthy.
Yep.
He started getting a little better towards the end of the year, but again, Russ has not slipped, and Russ is maniacal about his health. I just watched an interview with him the other day, and he said that I spent $1 million on my body and fitness routine a year. He said, because I plan on playing to 45. Little did we know, a week and a half later, he would be in Denver. But Denver has skill position players. They're 4 deep at wide receiver, young boys. They might not be stars yet, but they are positioned to be stars. When you're playing with Drew Lock, it's hard to be a star.
True story.
Yeah. They have an offensive line who's nice and incredible. They have a running back, the kid from North Carolina. I think his name is Javonte Williams. Is that his name, Big Red?
Yeah.
Javonte Williams, and the backup Gordon, if they bring him back again.
He's already said he wanted to sign back with him.
Melvin
I'm sure
Gordon.
now with Russ.
So they are loaded. So those little first round picks they gave up, they're not going to be anything better than a second round pick anyway. If Russ is halfway successful, which we all believe he will be. Yeah. But I tell you what, that division is loaded with some throwers.
Chargers, Kansas City, and don't sleep on the Raiders.
No, Carr can sling that rock.
And now all of them, with the exception of the Chargers, have offensive-minded head coaches. That's one thing. Russ has always played with a defensive-minded coach.
Yes.
Yeah, because
even his last season in college, when he transferred to Wisconsin, that was a run game, defensive-minded system that he became a star. Now, all of a sudden, he's got a fresh, innovative offensive mind that's got all these weapons that they can spread out and use. The AFC West is going to be crazy.
I really don't see the weak link.
Yeah,
not at all. Not at all. It's going to be very competitive.
Yeah, so, the arms in the AFC are ridiculous. Yeah,
well, except in Pittsburgh.
There's hope. There's hope in the horizon. Now, speaking of hope, unfortunately, we got to talk about a player that
stupid
did something real dumb. Calvin Ridley, former Atlanta Falcons. Well, he's still currently with the Atlanta Falcons. Former Alabama wide receiver. While he was away from the team in November, taking a middle break, he's in Florida, decided he was going to sign up and do some online gambling on his cell phone. Obviously, he really didn't think this through. He used his own name, did it on his cell phone, and what made him think that would automatically be flagged and sent to the league that you got to play at betting on NFL games? And now for betting, as he says, $1,500, he's going to lose $11 plus million because he's suspended for at least a year. He's got to apply for reinstatement. So there's no guarantee that he's going to be let in next year.
Well, maybe he doesn't understand what the term mental health is, and maybe he needs somebody to define it to him, because obviously the time off that he was using wasn't effective.
Here's my take, and this is hard for me to process, but it's getting easier and easier because my former Alabama players just keep doing trash. I mean, they just keep doing stuff that I'm like, what are you doing? But so it's hard for me because I've seen Calvin Ridley come up as you did. I mean, we've seen him come up, so I root for him. And I was actively rooting for him when it was announced that he was on a mental health break. But I can't excuse you. You have to understand, and you got to know you're who you are and what you do. And I can't even blame it on anything but stupidity. these athletes, these big time college athletes or pro athletes they go to high school, they're stars. They go to college, they continue to work on their craft, and they groom themselves to be nothing but professional football players, professional athletes. So you have to understand your sport. You have to understand the history of sport. The one thing that you cannot do in sports, you could do cocaine, you could do weed, you could drink yourself to death.
PEDs.
You can have domestic cases, which I'm not condoning, but you can have all these things happen and you can get another chance. The one thing that you can't play with is gambling. That's the one thing you can't play with. Ask Pete Rose. You cannot because how many times have we all been around the water cooler or amongst us, in private, and there's
something seemed fishy about that game.
Something seemed fishy. And we all and you could take it across, you could go in the middle of Nebraska, in the middle of nowhere, and strike up a sports conversation and be like, oh man, that's fixed. They can't play with the integrity of any sport. You can't, because once it comes into question, they'll be like, I told you. I knew it. It's like when Donahue got busted in for fixing games in the NBA, the referee.
Yeah.
I was like, aha, I knew it was fixed. I knew the referees had too much control. This is all tied into one another. You cannot gamble. And Big Red, like you said, there's no guarantee that we'll ever see Calvin on a football field again. And that's not being exaggerating. I'm not, just not clickbait. You could very well never see him in, because they may have to set an example saying this can't happen in our league.
Yeah.
And
especially with them as business partners now with gaming.
Well, that's what flagged it. That's what got flagged. They was like, wait a minute. That, I guess they must have they must have these prearranged arrangements with, because they're in bed with gambling now.
Yeah.
I wish the brother luck.
Yeah. So for all them people out there saying it's double standards and all that, I could disagree with you. I can't disagree with you more. They are drilled. They're drilled in college. You can't gamble. If anybody comes to you, approach you about gambling, report it, stay away. And then pros, they go through symposiums. Each year they're told the major things that you cannot do. And the number one thing is gambling on the sport. So there's no saying, oh, I was just doing a parlay or something. Stop it. Stop it. So, yeah, I hope he gets some, as J3 says, I hope he gets some real help, because if he was taking a middle break and gambling, he wasn't doing something right.
Well, maybe this is just a call for, a cry for help. Maybe he did it for attention.
Well, and then the dude, I was going to say Bama, but then the dude, he gets on his social media feed and says, I don't have a gambling problem. I'll be back in a year, with a smiley face. You ain't going. Who said you're going to be back next year?
You got to save face, bro. He got to save face. He probably said that just so he could try to clear some things up.
With a smiley face, J3?
Yeah. With something like that, you just leave it alone, let the process play out. Yeah. So, to some somewhat happier news for some, and probably a little frustrating news for others. Today at 4 p.m. was the last day for teams to stick the dreaded franchise tag on players. It was less players this year than normal that got the franchise tag. And it seems like because the tag number was so low, tight ends got hit hard. Cowboys franchise their tight end Dalton Schultz. The Browns did their tight end David Njoku. The Dolphins did Mike Gesicki. You had 2 offensive tackles tagged. Orlando Brown with the Chiefs, which was already pre-done when they traded for him from the Ravens previous year. They told him that they was going to tag him this year and then give him work on a long-term deal after that. Offensive tackle Cam Robinson of the Jags. And then you end up, don't forget my man, Jesse Bates, who had an outstanding year for the Bengals this year. He got tagged. And then you got the 2 wide receivers. 2 of the biggest names in free agency, possibly, both get stuck. Chris Godwin for the 2nd year in a row with Tampa Bay. Why can't you come to a deal? Well, you got to tag this man twice. If I'm him, I play on the tag because there's no need for us to negotiate a long-term deal because I'm going to be an unrestricted free agent next year because you can't tag me 3 times in a row.
But the thing with Godwin is his situation was a little tricky because they didn't work something out previous year. Is because he got hurt. I think he tore his ACL.
Right.
And so I think maybe they were like, well, let me see how this knee heals first before we, negotiate any further. That's the only thing I can think of. And
the question is he going to be effective with the next quarterback that they have?
They don't even know who that is yet.
Exactly. And that's maybe the reason why they want to keep him.
So we'll see. And then the Packers couldn't get a deal done with Devontae because your man Aaron Rodgers was sucking up all their airspace. So they had to tag Adams, and they hope to work out a long-term deal with him.
Does he want to stay, though? Has he said if he wanted to stay or go?
He hadn't said either way. The only thing he's ever hinted about was that he would love to play with his college teammate who happens to be the quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
But he knows he's making long bread hanging around with Aaron. So depending on how long Aaron's new deal is, if he can get a deal that coincides with that, maybe you stick around. If you don't mind Green Bay. One person who avoided the tag was Chargers wide receiver Mike Williams. They agreed to a 3-year, $60 million contract, 40 of that guaranteed, 28 in the first year. So he was the one person that avoided the dreaded tag. Another wide receiver, $20 million a year man, is rumored to be getting released soon, is Dallas Cowboys' Amari Cooper. So it's tough. You get these big tickets, big numbers on it. It's good to get the salary, but
so let me ask you
this. That would be a mistake for the Cowboys.
If Cooper leaves Dallas, do you see anybody picking him up, and do you see him staying in the league? Because
absolutely.
Oh yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm curious to see what happens because I think if he leaves Dallas, he's gonna lead the game.
But think about it, J3.
Okay.
Dak was looking rather ordinary until he got there. So now all of a sudden you can't afford him. So he's gone. I just think that you work something out. I wouldn't have. There's no way I would have let him get out of Dallas because CeeDee Lamb.
What happens.
Okay, is he a number one? We'll see. Is he going to be able to stay healthy? We'll see. I mean,
he played the whole season,
and then they're working to re-sign to a long-term deal. Their number 3 wide receiver to make him a number 2, and he coming back from a knee injury. So it's going to be real interesting in Dallas. But one person who was smart last year, Ezekiel Elliott, last year restructured his contract to make cap room for Dak, which made him unable to be a cap casualty this year because he would count like $28 million against the cap as a running back. So Zeke was smart.
Yep.
And Dak just redid his deal to give them some cap space. So that's going to lock in Dak for all 4 of his years. He's going to get all his money.
But I tell you who wouldn't redo their Lawrence refused to redo his deal.
Yeah. Well, they asked Lawrence to take a pay cut. Dak ain't take no pay cut. Dak just moved some salary to signing bonus so they could spread it out over years. Yeah. So,
I'm curious to see what happens.
Yeah. And last but not least in the NFL, we're going to get on to the NCAA. Man, the NFL Combine, I know I'm more of a nerd when it comes to this, but it was the fastest Combine ever. They had 31 dudes run below 4.4 in the Combine, clocked in the 40. They had the second fastest 40 ran ever, 4.24.
Wow.
4.23, pardon me. Just 1/100th under John Ross's 4.22. A DB did that on Sunday. They had 8 wide receivers run under 4.4, and half of them ran under 4.3. I mean, these dudes was crazy. And the craziest thing was Georgia defensive tackle Davis, who's 6'2", 347 pounds, ran a 4.7940.
I was more impressed with the defensive performance, the big guys, the linemen and the edge rushers this year. The type of speed that they displayed, led by four Jordan. It wasn't so. Jordan Davis probably had the best combine ever. I mean, he ran a 4.78. You just said, Reg?
Yeah.
He did a long jump over 10 feet.
Right.
He had like a 35 or 30. I think it was like a 32-inch vertical or something like that.
347 pounds.
At 6'6". So yeah.
Wow.
The only thing I worry about though, because you got to read, you got to see, okay, you got to understand what the combine is. And I will give, first of all, there was 4 Georgia defensive linemen. All 4 of them probably going to go in the first round. It was actually 5 because one had to transfer to Florida State. Jermaine Johnson, the second, had to transfer to Florida State just to play. He's probably going to be a top 10 pick himself. Yep. But anyway, the type of speed that they put on, like edge rushers, defensive tackles, was just ridiculous. But getting back to Jordan Davis, the only thing I worry about is I remember seeing him in the SEC championship game, couldn't breathe. Couldn't breathe, and he only was playing 2 matter of fact, he was completely taken out of the game. Yeah. So I understand what the combine is, but I have to give him credit. As soon as the season ended, and he had the longest season out there, he got to work. Yeah. All them boys got to work, and they got in shape. But again, are we going to get that Jordan Davis, the nice and fast and sleek one that had plenty of wind after 40 yards, or are we going to get the SEC championship game Jordan Davis, who was probably about 360 at that point and was huffing and puffing? And I was like, they're going to have to get a stretcher to get him off that field.
True story. So, yeah, we also got to shout out some of them young arms out there. Malik Willis, I think, had a good show. The quarterback for Cincinnati had a Ritter. Looked real good. Malik Willis, though, he was my star. Not what he did in the combine. He was walking the streets of Indianapolis and went by a homeless person. Stopped, had a conversation with the person, took off his bag off his shoulders because he's at the combine. They give him a bunch of stuff. He gave the homeless person some of his clothing from the combine because he knew he wasn't going to wear this stuff anymore. He didn't know in a restaurant across the street, somebody noticed him and saw what was going on and filmed it. And it went nationwide. But that tells you what kind of man this young man is. So if you're looking for a leader of your team, somebody that thinks of everybody, smart kid, huge arm, everybody seems to like him. That to me, that's the kind of guy. Him and Ritter really showed some stuff to me. So Big Reg, and I agree with you on the Willis assessment. But Big Reg, you're not apprehensive of Ritter as far as now. He's played a lot of football. He's won a ton of games. But I was expecting a little more out of him. Now, again, I know it was David and Goliath, so to speak, when he was playing Alabama in the playoffs. But I just didn't, something about I just didn't see it. Like, I didn't see any throws that, like, even if you're overmatched, there should be moments in the game when you're like, okay, that's a pro throw. I just didn't see it from him. But he tested well, but we all knew, most people who follow football knew he would test well. But I just didn't see it as far as I think they were shell shocked against Alabama. Everybody thinks they understand the speed of the SEC. And then there's SEC, and then there's Georgia, LSU, Alabama SEC, which is a whole different level. And when you get on the field with that, and then you realize, oh, this is real different. I think that affected them a little. That affected the whole Cincinnati team. They were overmatched from jump. So I wouldn't take that one game against them. I just think He doesn't have the. He's going to be one of those guys. I think he can be the next Dak Prescott.
Okay, that's fair. I can see that. I can see that.
Nothing great that you look at. Dak's a hell of a leader, a good ball player. Is going to give you everything he's got. He's a good leader, and if you put him in the right system, he can not only win games, he can get you there, but he's not going to be able to put the whole team on his back. But he's going to be a good. How many teams would be happy with a Dak Prescott level player at quarterback every week lining up that you ain't got to worry about for a decade?
Well, that's true. So do you think he gets out of the first round?
I think he may go early second just because there's discounting this quarterback class so much that I think he may get pushed down. Because, of course, some of these guys are getting pushed up. Your boy from Pittsburgh, the UNC quarterback who's
Why you gotta
never
be my
showed,
boy? Why you gotta be my boy?
Who's never showed anything to me. So
no, he was good when he had 2 NFL running backs behind him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so that's the NFL. We're going to kick NCAA just real quick. Shout out to the women's champions, 4 to 5 major conference 5 champions were crowned. Shout out to Kentucky. Kentucky was unranked going into the SEC tournament, had a struggle year. I think they were just a little bit over 500. They knocked off number 1 South Carolina. And they got 2 players, guard forward Ron Howard and Driana Edwards. They just balled out and took over in the second half. South Carolina was up 12 points late in the second half and ended up losing the game 64-62. So got to give props to University of Kentucky. Also got to shout out Stanford. Stanford's rolling in the Pac-12. They just Tar Vanderveer, she been doing it for decades. That they on cruise control. They like UConn back in the Big East now. They just on cruise control. They just power through the division and do their thing. And we'll see how good they are once the tourney starts. I just mentioned UConn. UConn did their thing. UConn getting healthy. UConn's getting scary. Paige Beckers is coming off the bench. The National Player of the Year last year is coming off the bench as she continues to recuperate from her injury. That's scary. That's real scary. North Carolina State won their 3rd ACC title in a row, tournament title in a row. I mean, it's been a minute since NC State's been a beast, but they now the beast of the ACC. And Iowa, who has probably the most clutch score in college basketball right now. Caitlin, what's Caitlin's last name? Can't think of her last name. I'll get it. Caitlin. She leads the country in scoring for the 2nd year in a row. She's only a sophomore and led the nation in assists this year. She's in the run for Wooden Player of the Year. They've knocked off Indiana 74-67 to win the Big Ten. All the men's tourneys kick off this weekend. So Caitlin Clark, thank you, Johnny. Appreciate it, since. Fellas, all I can tell you is if you got some time this weekend, check out men's college basketball, because there's about 15 teams that can win a national championship this year. There's no dominant team to me. The defending national champions, Baylor, who lost a bunch of players, brought in a bunch of players through the portal. They looked a little shaky, but now they won like 12 games in a row, and they look real good right now in the Big 12. But then you got Arizona, number 2 team in the nation. How good is Gonzaga? They're Elite 8, Final 4 team almost every year now, because they're so good out there in the West Coast Conference that they get to coast through most of their season, and then as long as they don't have anybody to match up, but they're freshman phenom, the 7-foot center that looks like he weighed 180 pounds. If he got to bang against some big guys, I worry about that. So, yeah, y'all looking for any particular team? We know Sense is pulling for Michigan. Michigan was able to win 3 of the 5 games that the coach had to miss because of his little incident on the court. So, Michigan's definitely going to be an attorney.
Gonzaga reminds me of Clemson before they broke through the ice. They get to cruise through a conference that has no resistance whatsoever, and then when they get into the show, they always lose. That's what it. Well, I actually Notre Dame's like that now. My bad. My bad. They cruise through the regular season with really no resistance, and then all of a sudden, bam, they lose. But I want to say Gonzaga, man. At some point, Gonzaga has to win. At some point.
Not if they like Buffalo in the NFL, bro.
That was low.
I mean, they've been, on the map now for almost 2 decades. So it's going to be interesting. And yeah, we got to shout out Professor J's Tar Heel Nation. Saturday was Coach K's last game at home at Cameron Indoor Arena. He had 100+ players come back. They had all this great ceremony. And good old Tar Heels came in there and did what they do. That's the one team that he has had to battle tooth and nail every year. And it was good. That was a huge win for Hubert Davis. Because I think there were some people in Chapel Hill that's thinking, did we make the right choice?
But I was looking for somebody, guys. I didn't see Zion Williamson.
Rehab.
I didn't see Kyrie
playing.
And I didn't see Johnny Dawkins.
Well, you know why you didn't see Johnny Dawkins.
He hot.
Johnny Dawkins and Tommy Amica, both of them hot. Yeah,
hot. They ain't get that job, bro.
But I'm trying to figure. Tom, you cannot have a Duke reunion without Tommy Amica and Johnny Dawkins. Zion was a flash. He just was there a year. So was Kyrie. Kyrie wasn't even there a year. He was hurt then. That should have told everybody all they needed to know. But Johnny Dawkins and Tommy Amica, they're like foundational pieces of Duke basketball.
Johnny Dawkins was the first major signing for Coach K.
Yeah, just something. Yeah. It was a bad taste in my mouth. I'm glad they lost.
Yeah, I've never been a Duke fan, so I'm be upfront. So I had some pleasure in watching Coach K choke on it a little bit and have to, bite down and then come back out in the court and apologize for the effort. So it was unfair, I think, to his young team, all that pressure, all those old heads coming talking about y'all got to win this game, y'all got to win. So, but yeah, good job, Tar Heels.
Whoa. Hold on, Big Red. Time out. They're all McDonald's All-American 5-stars. What kind of they've been pressured since they was in junior high.
Yeah, but they had 90+ Duke Blue Devil greats come back that's been there for 2 days on them. Y'all got to win this game. Y'all can't let coach go out like this.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah, well, reality sets in sooner or later, bro. You can't beat them. You just can't beat them.
I hear you. So, yeah, the Tar Heels going to be interesting come tourney time. They got an interesting little team. So, buckle up. March Madness is going to be crazy, especially the men's game. The women's game, you might have 7 to 8 teams that can win it. Men's game is wide open.
Yeah.
Speaking of wide open, the NBA playoffs, it's a little over a month before, we kick off the play-in tournaments with the 7th through 10th seeds, figure out who gets to remain to play for the real playoffs. So a lot of teams got like 15 to 17 games. So we getting late in the season. What do y'all think about how the new 76ers duo was looking? When they play together, they've been impressive. I've got to admit.
Actually, look, this might actually work as far as there's really only 2 stars now. So there's plenty. So there should be, in Philadelphia, there's really 2 legitimate stars now. So there should be plenty of basketball for both of them. They really don't get in each other's way. Embiid should have his big behind down low, come out and pop a 3 periodically. Harden, stay around the perimeter, maybe go, mid-range a little bit, but I think it might actually work. Now we all know they leave a lot to be desired as far as the coaching strategy is concerned come the playoff time. But it might actually work. And Embiid is motivated. I think Embiid is motivated as far as he wants to show the world, or at least the NBA world, that look, this is my team. It's been my team all along. I don't need Ben Simmons. I don't need, I got a good running mate with Harden. So it might actually work.
Yeah. And Harden is trying to prove that all this work to get out of Houston, this is where I really wanted to be, but they wouldn't let me go there. And then I tried to make it work in Brooklyn. But you see what I can't say that word. You see what a
dysfunctional organization.
Good one. Thank you. That was great. Dysfunctional organization Brooklyn is throughout. And he was like, I can't deal with that. Did y'all see Harden was running steps after the game last night?
He should.
Mm-hmm. And he miraculously lost like 10 pounds immediately when he got to Philly and is getting in better shape. So, yeah, 76 is interesting. My question is, but are they still based on the short sample we've seen, do you think they will be the winners of the East?
No.
Mm-mm.
We're not going that far, no.
Okay. I don't see it. I think they'll end up either second, maybe third in the East, but I don't see them taking number 1.
I'm talking about coming out the East when it's all said and done. I'm not talking about seeding.
I still think you still got to go through Milwaukee.
You got to go through Milwaukee.
You still got to go through Milwaukee.
You're not better. I don't think they're better than Chicago. I don't see it. And I don't think they're better than Miami. I think Miami got the little taste of that little, they got reality came back to them last year after that little run they had in the bubble. So I think they're back. And plus, I think Miami has the better coach. Milwaukee doesn't have the better coach, but they have the better talent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think Milwaukee has been cruising through the season, positioning themselves well. There's like, we don't need to be number 1. We just need to be right near the top. Right now, the Heat are number 1 seed in the East, 3 games over the 76ers. Bucks only 3.5 games back, so they right there with the 76ers. So I think the Bucks will be happy with either the 2 or the 3 seed. Then you got the Bulls. Then you got the hot Celtics. The Celtics, it took their new young coach a while to get through to those boys, especially Jason Tatum, saying you can still be a superstar on this team, but I need you to make your other teammates better. It's not just about you. He's been balling out. Jaylen Brown has been balling out. They're finally everybody's working, and they playing defense. So it's going to be real interesting. Then you still got them young Cavs that if you mess around and slip up, they might take you out. So,
hey, who's running point in Boston right now?
It's the young guy that they got they traded from San Antonio. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but
they not Patty Mills. Patty.
No.
Because
I know
Derek
White.
Derek White. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. They playing really good basketball. Really good basketball. Over to the Western Conference. I mean, a lot of people thought, that Phoenix would, fall off with Chris Paul going down with the broken thumb. Phoenix is real, fellas. I think they lost in the finals last year. made all them dudes get in the gym and get it. Not only were they without Chris Paul, Devin Booker missed the last week because he been in COVID protocol. And for all y'all that don't think COVID's over, Devin Booker had to miss a week of basketball because he got put in protocol. So it's still out.
Again. Say it again.
Well, I told you I didn't think they would slide because I think that once Chris Paul came over there and then along with their coach Monty Williams, I think they just installed the a winning mentality in them. And again, they've been drafted number 1 for 25 years, so they have plenty of talent. They have the talent. They have the talent, but sometimes if the talent has no direction or don't know how to have an experience winning in a long time, it starts to weigh on you. So I just think that it just takes a little mental adjustment and bam.
Yeah.
Monty don't count out. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, since don't count out the Warriors, bro. Just because they're not winning right now, don't mean they ain't gonna be ready for the playoffs.
Oh, Draymond's supposed to be back Monday.
Oh, they'll be ready.
Exactly.
So give Draymond 2-3 weeks, get in shape, and they'll be ready. But
that's right.
But Phoenix is a perfect example of a dysfunctional organization getting a true leader, Monty Williams, in, and he's got the basketball people. Look, we're not gonna worry about all this stuff that's going on around us. We ain't gonna deal with it. That's them. We gonna deal with what's in this house. And yeah, Phoenix is for real. But yeah, the Warriors, once Stray gets his legs back under him, the Warriors gonna be a problem because the Warriors are 11-12 deep. Yeah. And everybody can play. They just need to get back in their roles. So it is going to be fun. And since just for you, I'm gonna leave your boys alone this week. We'll talk about them more next week.
Ain't nothing to talk about. Ain't nothing to talk about.
Exactly.
So them and the Clippers both like teetering on falling off the cliff. All right, fellas. Another week, another show. We done got through it. It is time for our final post. J3, what you got for me?
Man, I just want to give a quick shout out to a gentleman, older gentleman who was like an uncle to me, who passed away 2 weeks ago, Mr. James Pate, who was also a veteran from the Army and the Air Force, who's also a semi-pro bowler, who shot 300s and 800s. Shout outs to you, sir. You will be missed.
Rest in peace, Mr. Pate. Rest in peace. Ed, what you got for us?
Hey, man, I just look all around me. Restrictions are being lifted, and it's really back to normal right now. And look, just because everyone else is back to normal doesn't necessarily mean you're back to normal. And so, look, at the end of the day, our responsibility is to the individual, our families, and in each other. So just be safe out there. Thanks for tuning in tonight.
Amen.
I agree. And I will add to that. If you happen to be in a household that has someone who is immunocompromised or a very young child where you're not sure, please be careful. They're going to act like this thing is over, but it's not over. So mask up, be safe. It's better to be safe than to be sorry and have you or one of your loved ones get sick, because this thing is still killing people. Just not as many, but it's still killing people. And we'll leave it at that. All right. We'd like to thank you all for tuning in and listening. We appreciate your time and the opportunity to share our positions on sports with you. We're here each and every Tuesday, 7 p.m. for our live shows. We appreciate you joining in. You can catch us on our YouTube channel or our Facebook page. We do it live. Twitch as well. Positions on Sports Talk Show. Look us up. You can catch us there. If you can't catch us live and you prefer to see a replay of the shows, again, check out our Facebook page, our YouTube page, or whatever podcast platform you prefer. Just put in the name of the show, Positional Sports Talk Show. You'll find them. We try to get shows uploaded within a couple of days. So if you don't see a recent show, it's coming. Just bear with us. We get it in as soon as possible. If you want to reach out, hit us on Facebook or our Twitter at Positions on SPO1. We'd love to hear from you. And as always, please stay safe. We'll see you next Tuesday. Same bad time, same bad channel. We appreciate you. Peace.
See you.
Good night. Thank you.